I've been a gamer for decades, probably about 40 years if I'm being completely honest. I've always felt like my childhood was the golden age of computer games. Perhaps not my early childhood, the 80s was kind of rubbish for computer games, but the 90s, oh, some of the most amazing games I believe have ever been created came out in the 90s. I don't think anything has really properly topped that pick it up, play it, have fun feeling since then. Don't get me wrong, the early 2000s had some fantastic games like Beyond Good and Evil and Bioshock. More recently, games like The Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn. All of these are fantastic games. I'm certainly not knocking them, but you can't beat that feeling of picking up a console from the 90s, firing up a game of like Sonic or Tetris, and you can just immediately get into the game, immediately get lost. The games are simple. You can understand what's going on without reading the instructions. You don't have to go and look at a tutorial. Some of them brutally difficult, but they were still fun. It was just such a lovely time. And I kind of want that feeling back. So, go grab a coffee. I'll get one too. And then we'll get into it. What? It's clear coffee. That's the thing, right? Look, it's 9 o'clock at night. This is 7up. A few weeks ago, I discovered a YouTube channel called Tech Dweeb. This guy's been out for a few years now, and he's the most adorable, wholesome channel that I think I've ever seen. His thing is retro gaming, and he introduced me to this. Now, this is the Miu Mini Plus, and I'm not here to do a video about this. I'm not that sort of channel, really. But playing this thing has really got me in the mood for playing retro games again. I'm often on the sofa or in bed or otherwise occupied, playing on this thing. Right? And I love it. It's fantastic. Like a quick 10-minute game break here and there. You don't have to wait for updates. There's no internet connection to worry about. You just turn it on and start playing. It's fantastic. Problem is, I want to do that on the big screen. If you watched last week's video, you probably saw that I transferred my Home Assistant machine from my Beelink SER5 over to a much cheaper, much lower powered mini PC. And I told you I'd tell you the reason for that this week. Now, I remember that like it was yesterday, which is slightly concerning because it was actually only 2 hours ago. But nonetheless, here's my Beelink SER5. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to install a piece of software called Batocera on it, and that should turn this little machine into my very own retro console. I can't wait. Oh, but wait, you will, my young naive foxy. This was not the quick job you thought it would be. It was a damn comedy of errors. I thought this was going to be an easy one. I almost didn't publish it. However, I think there are too many videos out there on YouTube where everything goes perfect and is polished and is a nice little neat in-the-box tutorial which shows how much of an expert the person doing this is. I am an expert. I've been doing this stuff for 40 years, and this was really hard, and it shouldn't have been this hard. But it just goes to show it doesn't matter how much experience you've got, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you've got, things can trip you up. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or you've been doing it for decades, we're all just human, we're all fallible. Here's the evidence of that. Hope you enjoy it. So installing this should be really easy.
Wrong.
All you need to do is go to batocera.org, click on Get Batocera Linux, the latest version, and then choose the device that you're going to install it on. So what we want for this one is desktop PC, laptop, NUC, and Intel-based Apple computers. So if we click on Download, and then download that. Now I will say, depending on what type of Beelink machine you've got, there is actually specifically a Beelink category. I don't have either of these though, so I'm not going to worry about those for now. Now it is a 4 gig file, and unfortunately Batocera do have a reputation of having incredibly slow servers. So my recommendation would be patience. So I've just clicked on download now. Apparently it will be all ready to download in 23 minutes. So you're definitely getting the retro experience. That took so long to download, it's literally days later. I'm only kidding, it didn't take that long, my battery died. Right, now you've got the software downloaded, you're going to want to install it onto your mini PC. So there's 3 ways you can do that. If you're on Windows, you can use a piece of software called Rufus to create an image on the disk. If you're on Mac, you can use a piece of software called Beelink Etcher, or a third option that somebody reminded me of in the comments of a previous video, you can copy it straight to your pen drive if you're using a piece of software called Ventoy. I have Ventoy on this drive, so I'm going to use that.
I've made a huge mistake.
Once you've got Ventoy on your drive, it's actually really easy to get anything installed on here. Just plug it in, go to where you downloaded it, copy it, and then put it in the root of your pen drive. I always forget I've got this pen drive, but it's actually really useful. Instead of having a bunch of USB drives with like Windows and Ubuntu and Kali Linux if you're that way inclined, all of those things can just live on one pen drive. That's it. You just have one pen drive that you carry around, and when you plug it into your machine, you select the image that you want to boot from. It's fantastic, and I really wish I would remember that I actually have this pen drive. ADHD, the gift that keeps on giving. Well, let's copy and we can play a bit in 1944. Okay, we can now eject our disk. Okay, now we're down to the hardware. So the stuff that you're going to need to actually be able to do this, obviously you're going to need your mini PC. This is a Beelink SER5. You actually don't need anything this powerful. The only reason why I've gone for this one is I would like to try and play some of the more later games. So that PC that I used last week, I've already forgotten the brand, but that cheap one, I'll link it down below, that actually would be perfectly fine. A Raspberry Pi would actually be fine. If you have a Raspberry Pi 5 kicking around, use that. Raspberry Pi 4 or even a 3B can run some games. It kind of is easy to run a retro machine these days because the hardware that you're emulating is 30 to 40 years old. You don't need powerful machines to run them. The only reason why I went with this one is I would like to play some more recent stuff, something like, I say recent, stuff like PS2 and PS3 era games, and that will require a bit more power. I actually don't think this will be powerful enough to even play like a Switch game, for example. I'm not going to try that because I don't want to make Nintendo angry, but I would like to play some of the more modern games. So nothing major modern. I don't think this is going to be a good like actual gaming machine for modern Steam games. I might even try and put Steam on this. I don't know what Batocera is capable of. I know it's just an OS, so theoretically there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to install Steam on it, but this isn't going to be playing like your AAA modern games. It's going to actually struggle with most modern games, I would say, but it could probably play the lighter ones, things like Balatro or Death Road to Canada. I bet those will run fine on a machine like this, so we'll see how it goes. Obviously you're going to need your pen drive. You're also going to need a keyboard and mouse. So this is a Re X8. I've used this before. I've shown you this in my Home Assistant installation video. You don't need this device. This is a really handy little handheld keyboard with a touchscreen and your little scroll wheel. It's really handy if you do a lot of stuff on little servers, like if you do systems administration or if you've got a home lab. These things are great. Highly recommend it. They're not that expensive either, but you don't need one. Any keyboard and mouse that you can plug in via USB or connect via Bluetooth, that'll do you just fine. Once you've got it set up, the last thing you're going to want is a controller. I use this one from 8BitDo. This is the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 wireless controller, which comes with a little charging dock, which is quite cool. This one's great. I love this thing, but I will admit, it's not very retro. It's quite a modern looking device. So if you do want a retro version, 8BitDo also do like a mock SNES controller. They probably also do a Mega Drive controller. Sorry, Genesis for everybody else in the world. We call them Mega Drives in England. If that's your vibe, go for it. I'll pop some links down below. You can go check those out. 8BitDo aren't sponsoring this video. Nobody's sponsoring this video. I think they're fantastic. Highly recommend it. I'll pop some links in the description for this one and also for the more retro looking one, so you can go have a look. Right, let's get this thing set up.
Hang on, this is going to be bad.
As I've said in previous videos, I'm going to have to do the setup bit off camera because my HDMI cable won't really reach, so you know, you'll have to bear with me here. So we'll plug our USB drive in and we will get our keyboard dongle out, plug that in as well, and turn the device on. Also make sure you plug it into power, that's usually helpful as well. Right, we'll do a boot override and we'll boot into our SanDisk drive. There is Batocera. So you can see Batocera appears. This is one of the great things about Ventoy. I really, really love it. This should boot straight into the disk image. So one of the cool things about Batocera is you can actually just store it on your thumb drive, and any computer that will boot from a USB becomes a retro machine. How cool is that? You can actually install it directly to the machine, which is what we're going to do in a minute.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
But you don't need to. You can just keep it on your pen drive. Keep all of your games on your pen drive and then carry your little retro machine around with you wherever you go. Fancy a quick game on your work computer? Don't tell your boss. Okay, so you can just run Batocera like this. It will run from your pen drive. Another alternative, which a lot of people do, is they just grab an external hard drive, copy all of their games and the Batocera image onto that drive, plug it into the drive, and you're good to go. That's it. However, I've got a drive in there, it's a decent size, and I want to install all the games on it. So I'm going to plug in my controller. Don't really need the keyboard anymore. Once your controller's connected, if you go to the menu, go to System Settings, and then go all the way to the bottom until you see Install on a new disk. Click that, select your target device, select your target architecture. If you're using a regular mini PC, it's probably x86-64, but check that first. Basically, Google your device and then Google CPU architecture. That will tell you what you need, but it's almost certainly going to be x86-64. Tell it sure. Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Hit install. And then an error will occur. Fantastic. I don't know why that failed. My coffee's gone cold. Ooh. Could that be alright? New drive detected. Yeah. Format and merge? That felt like the right thing to do.
I don't actually know.
Okay, so now this is formatted. I'm kind of hoping this is going to work. So let's go to System Settings again. And then go to Install on a new disk. Select the target device. Keep the architecture, I'm sure. Install. An error occurred. Okay, this is frustrating. Okay, let's go to our file explorer. Should be F1. Okay, right, and let's see if we can find our logs. I can't remember where it said the logs were. I think it's System Logs. There we go. Not enough space to download the update on user data. Interesting. Need to download 4 gigabytes. Not enough space to download the update. Let's try rebooting, see what happens. Now, I don't think this will make a difference because we're booting into a live disk, so it can't do anything.
Just right in front of him.
I wonder if this is because we're trying to do this on Ventoy. Maybe Ventoy just isn't appropriate for this kind of thing.
Thank God, finally.
Right, we'll use Etch to try and burn it to a disk. Let's see if that works. See, what could have easily happened is, because we copied the image file to Ventoy, it could be that it couldn't actually expand the file system. So basically, whatever the file system is in the image file is kind of locked in place. It can't take up the entire disk. It can't make a bigger file system than it is because that's not really what Ventoy does. Doing it this way means that if we have to, we can expand the file system. We can make it fill the entire pen drive, which should hopefully solve the problem.
That doesn't work.
There's actually probably no real downside to actually just running it from there. You can use the hard drive on the machine for your ROM storage. It still has access to that drive, and then just run Batocera from the USB drive. That would work fine. I might even end up doing that. Spoiler alert. Yes, I ended up doing that. I did try and get it onto a hard drive. I actually succeeded in getting it onto the hard drive, but the same problem occurred. The inability to expand the file system to actually get the full thing working. It was saying it was working, but trying to copy files across, it just wasn't. Even right at the end, when I actually thought I had it working, I managed to copy around 2 gig of files across, and then all of a sudden it was saying that the disk space was full on a 256 gig hard drive. It wasn't full. I still haven't actually solved this. However, it's working well enough. It's good enough for now, and I've got to get this video out, so I'm going to call it there. The majority of the rest of this video is me trying and failing to get it working. Eventually, I reach the compromise. Eventually, I get it sort of working. Skip to here if you don't want to watch all of it. If you do want to watch me suffer, feel free to carry on. This is proving to be a huge pain. I don't know what's causing this problem, and I have a funny feeling that you might not experience this problem. I don't know why I'm having it. From what I've googled, The issue seems to be the fact that I used Ventoy originally. I don't really know why that's still a problem, but apparently copying the file to Ventoy and then copying it from somewhere else seemed to have kept some of the config, because I realised when I copied the file, it remembered what my Wi-Fi was. So something had been stored somehow. I could just figure out a way to do a fresh reinstall. I could just download another image, but there's another way to do this, and from what I can gather, this might be the recommended way to do this, and that is to take the drive out of there, stick it in an enclosure, and then install the image straight to the drive, put it back in, and then apparently that will work. It's a faff. I would still recommend trying to do it the USB way first. I think I'm just having weird issues that you might not have. If you do have these issues, hopefully this way will work for you. Obviously you will need to have a spare enclosure. They're actually quite cheap. Like, I think I got this one for like, I don't think it was even 20 quid. I'll put a link in the description to the one I used. Sabrant's the model. Yeah, I'll put a link in there. It's getting really late. I'm so tired. I'm so bored of this. Okay, let's carry on. Don't even remember how to open this. Aha, there we go. The nice thing about this enclosure is it is toolless, so it's actually really, really easy to work with. I use this as an editing drive, so I can easily just swap NVMe drives in and out when I need them. Really, really handy. This should be a straightforward process. It's basically the same as creating a flash drive, but instead of writing to a flash drive, we're writing to a hard drive. The main pain is the fiddliness of taking things apart and also needing to have an NVMe closure to actually get it done. Ah, I forgot this was not an NVMe drive. When I bought this, it did come with an NVMe drive. In fact, it came with this NVMe drive, I think, which I then took out and put in something else. This one is a regular solid-state SSD drive. But this method's kind of easier for me, because I got one of these. So all this is, it's just a hot swap hard drive caddy. So if you're doing a lot of stuff on hard drives, and you don't have to install a hard drive into the machine, and then faff about connecting it into the machine, you can just hot swap it, plug it straight into this. It'll take a 2.5 inch drive or a regular 3.5 inch drive. And you just line it up, pop it in, plug it in, and then turn it on. You will need a power supply, which is somewhere around here.
It's not that kind of day, okay?
It's not my day. Can't find the power supply for this. Can't be bothered to go looking. Thankfully, as previously established, I'm a nerd, and nerds have hard drives lying around everywhere, so this is a spare NVMe drive that I've just found in a drawer. So, back to plan A. No, my luck will be like 15 Bitcoin on this drive or something, and I'm about to wipe it. Maybe let's check first. Okay. So we're going to reopen Etcher. We're going to flash from the same file. But this time our target is going to be our SSD. Now, it's going to complain about this because it doesn't like flashing to really, really large drives. It's not expecting it, but you can just tell it to sod off. Right, so it's saying that it hasn't got much space, and I think what will happen if we look at the boot config, it says auto resize true, but that's commented out, so I'm actually going to save that file. I'm going to uncomment it. It's supposed to do this. I was told that it would do this automatically on first boot and then disable itself. I don't think it did. I think one of the problems I had was that this drive, even though it's 16 gig capacity, I don't think it was actually using it. I don't think it did an expansion. I don't think it properly did anyway. So we'll see what happens this time around. See, it's worrying me that it's got my Wi-Fi details again. And that wouldn't save. I think we're going to have the same problem. Let's see what happens. Let's be positive. Got to stay optimistic in these times, haven't you? I thought this was going to be a quick video.
In and out, 20 minutes adventure.
I was like, do you know what? I don't have much time this weekend. I'll do a nice easy thing and I will install Batocera on a mini PC. That's got to be easy, right? Right? On the plus side, we don't need the USB drive this time. We can just plug the keyboard in, and that should be all we need. System information is actually saying that we've got the right space. This might actually work. So one of the things I have found as well is that the audio output is a little bit dodgy. Like for me, auto doesn't work. I had to physically set it to the right setting, which is a bit weird, but such is life. It says free space 212 gigabytes. So I don't see how this is the issue of not enough space. Could it be as simple as that? I'm struggling to recommend this software at the moment. I'm not going to film this part because I'm just going to be repeating myself. But what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to download the Batocera image again. I am going to wipe every single drive that I have used for Batocera, and I am going to attempt to do a complete reinstall. I have a funny feeling that somewhere along the way I've messed up, and somehow a setting has been stored in a permanent part of that image. I don't know how, I didn't actually know that that was a thing, but I can't help but feel that somewhere on the mini PC, or somehow somewhere on the image itself, something has been stored that's causing my problems. I'm completely at a loss. This is supposed to be an easy setup. I've seen other videos of people doing this and it's supposed to be easy. I don't know why this is being a problem for me. Wish me luck. I finally got it working. It was fine. It was just a setting. So in the settings menu, if you go into security and then enable enforce security, it will then generate a secure password for you, and you use that secure password along with the username root to log in via the network. It won't let you do it over guest, or at least it wouldn't for me. As soon as I logged in, it was allowing me to copy files across no problem. Everything seems to be working now. That was unreasonably difficult, but at least it's up and running. Do you want to see this thing in action? I think the reason retro games are becoming so popular isn't just about nostalgia. I'm not even sure it's about the games themselves, really. The modern world is a terrifying, stressful place at times, and it's easy to forget that even though we're adults now, we still carry the child that we used to be along for the ride inside us. Little Foxy's still there, sitting in my brain, scared about all the things he's supposed to do in this world and doesn't know how. Playing a simple retro game, even just for 10 minutes, gives that little guy a chance to do something fun and easy. A chance to stop thinking about the real world and just be a child again. I think that's why we find them so compelling, so relaxing, so oddly comforting. It's us as adults telling our little selves that they're okay, that they're safe, that they don't have to be an adult all the time, that taking some time out and pretending that the weight of the world doesn't exist for a while is actually fine. You are okay, you are safe. Go and play some retro games. Be a child again for a little while, because that feeling isn't just fun, it's literally therapy, and it's priceless. Ta-ra!